In this video, I want to review what happened today in USDCAD. Um, here's the here's the daily chart of what's happening right now. Let me clean some of this up. So clearly, we are in a downtrend um, within the bigger time frame uptrend. So I'm looking for price to get down to this 111 area, somewhere in here, and I think that's when the higher time frame buyers will come in, and then we should see a big move up. But that's just a commentary for a longer term. But I do believe with for it to get down there, I think this downtrend will remain down. Will continue to move down. So what I'm going to look at is how did today play out. Well, what happened today was the EMAs, the 5, 10, and 21 EMAs, today again served as nice resistance, and it did that back here. Well, it didn't really serve as resistance, it went above it and came, but for the first time, really, it's serving now. All three are aligned to the bearish side, and they're serving as resistance, so I should look for more moves to happen towards the downside. So let's also see how today played out. Today, we came up to yesterday's high, went a little bit above it, found some resistance, and from that high, it pretty much one time framed, or yeah, it moved sharply down from the high to the low, and then came back and oscillated towards the bottom end for the rest of the day. So what does that look like on the 1 hour profile chart? Well, first, let me bring in the the just the clean 1 hour bars. And how did we shape up today? Well, we opened right here at 112,791 in that area, and then we moved up into yesterday's high. We found some resistance at yesterday's high, and from that we then moved all the way down um, pretty sharply um, into the day's low. And then from the day's low, which was from yesterday's open, um, Monday's open, Sunday night's open, it moved back up and then oscillated uh, in between on the lower end there. So what was the levels that worked here today was yesterday's high, served as excellent resistance because it went there, and from there it fell away pretty sharply, and it stopped at yesterday's open. So yesterday's open is where is the low for today. So um, I still believe that this may move further down to Friday's low, and if it gets there, um, let's see what we got. That doesn't look too bad actually. Um, so that's what it looked like. So the this was not really in play. So we 100% retraced. The 618 didn't really put up much of a fight, and that's what I had there. And then this little move up, I had put in a fib to see what that looked like, and that too did not put up much of on the 127 1618. However, the well, 2618 is still there, and that could still be in play. And yeah, that's the same thing. Um, so that's how the day unfolded on the 1 hour bar, and we can see again the smooth part of the move came from yesterday's high, and then break through yesterday's uh, break through the open, and moved further down. And so now I'll bring in the 1 hour profile and see how that played out. Um, so on this 1 hour profile, for the most recent day here that just closed, we can see that we opened the day and we just start to oscillate just above the daily open, and then we then move up above the valley area into yesterday's high, which was up here, and then but when we close below yesterday's high, um, and it's interesting because this bar here opened and only went one way, and now was up, and so this thin area here, uh, I would expect that at some point between 4 o'clock and the New York session open, it would get revisited, and it did at the very next bar. And so when it does that, um, the 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 indication here to be patient with long, or maybe avoid them, is where do we close? That's the start of the new hour here. Um, where do we close? We close at the low, and then the new bar at 6 o'clock opens, and the high is also the open, and then it closed further down, um, and the close is very close to the low, and now I have to be alerted to this information that's available to me, and I have to say this is we've got a move up here, which now potentially looks like misdirection or a shakeout, and then they move uh, down, close on the low, move down, close very close to the low, but we did leave in some thin areas here. The 7 o'clock bar, we go even further down. We get below the um, the open, the daily open, and we get into the previous day's value area, and we in fact close inside yesterday's value area. But we still had this area here that we suspected that would get filled in, and that lined up nicely with the VWAP, and that was a good place to join the short trade, because when it got there, it fell away again pretty sharply and closed down, and closed inside of value. And you could see from the 7 o'clock bar and the 8 o'clock bar, it not only closed inside of yesterday's value area, you could start to see some acceptance being built there. And this 8 o'clock bar had sort of a nice, actually that's a very nice profile, because you see how it's it's long, so it's elongated, but it's nicely even. It's not thin like how the 6 o'clock bar was, and when it's usually thin like that, with spots, look for those spots to get filled. But this 8 o'clock bar, it doesn't come back and it's not spotty, and so I wouldn't expect it to come back and get filled, and it didn't. We just tested the value area high from yesterday, and then we fell away. And then this is what I'm talking about. If you look at this 9 o'clock bar, it's very spotty in many of the spots. So we had a thin volume area here, we have thin here, and thin in here, and but so I would want to believe that this should come back and get filled in. Um, and but I shouldn't wait. I shouldn't expect for it to happen on the current bar. If it does, that's fine. but I need to wait for the bar to close. But however, when we come down to the valley area low from yesterday, this would be not this would be a decent place to take if we're doing it on this bar, this 9 o'clock bar, to take along, because you gotta have a high. You believe there's a high probability that we're not gonna break through yesterday's valley area low on one shot. It's gonna take several, and also we have these that need to come back. And typically, when you will get opportunities to join in on the down trade, and get moved in. Like you know the ideal. Once you see this move, there's gonna be a pullback, and if if there wasn't going to be a pullback, then this would have closed very closer to the low. We close up here, away from the low, and then we also had some acceptance. So you can see when price comes down here, it starts to balance. There's an acceptance of price there, but we still need to go back in and fill that. And then for the rest of the day, we did exactly what we just finished talking about. The next bar, we come back and test come back and test this low volume area here, fill that in a bit, come back up, fill that in a bit, it goes up, fills this area in a bit, fills up this choppiness up here, um, and then the next bar it moves even further up and fills in this choppy area a little bit more, and then comes back and closes right on the value area low. But the move really is to the downside. You got to see Nazar. Look, this is pretty sharp. This 8 o'clock bar is very telltale that it's strong, because it's nice and elongated and long, and nice and even, and you can see uh, it didn't have choppiness like the 9 o'clock bar, and so that tells you this we're looking for. This has got more to go down, or at least come back and test this low for potential double bottom. Um, and that looks like what it's doing right now. So then typically there isn't any trades after 1, 2 o'clock, and you can see there could have been a trade taking a long off here back to here, or there could have been, yeah, there is there, and I'm not that type of a trader yet that I can take those kinds of trades. If I had banked some dollars already here from this move down, then yes, I could take a chance here and maybe take 1 or 2 lots and try to um, just pad the trading day a little bit. So that's it. I'm gonna leave this at that. One other thing I do want to bring in that made this value area low from yesterday a little bit stronger. Um, nah, I'm gonna leave it at that.